I'll be happy to try and answer it.
Patience was coming through in a big way in class today. And I was like, in this society of consumer culture, where's patience gone? Where can we find?
Where do you find God?
Patience.
Patience. You mean with the society? What choice do you have? You're dealing with, a society of basically unconscious people, all chasing illusion, all chasing Maya, all creating political and economic circumstances, trying to outdo each other. Look, I'll tell you a story that's kind of applicable to this. Years ago, I used to run, an antique business. It was Asian art. And I got a sculpture that was totally extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary quality. Very old and quite beautiful and important. So I called up a guy who was probably worth $15 billion, and collected the kind of art that I sold. And I asked him, come on over to my loft and take a look at this thing. It would be perfect in your collection. Now, I'll never forget this, because it's basically what you're talking about. This guy came out of the elevator. The elevator came right into the loft, bitching and complaining about everything in the world. There was nothing right about life. And here was a guy who was worth, his family was worth $15, $20 billion. And this is almost 20 years ago. God knows what the value of that is today. And I looked at him and I said, what are you bitching about? I said, you were just born, it was the right sperm, for God's sake. You were just born into this. And he looked at me and he said, do you want it? I'll never forget that. It was like the Buddha talking to me, telling me how all of this greed and all of this politics and all the power struggle, it's all an illusion. It's teaching us this every single moment of our lives. It's teaching us that you have to connect with an energy of a transcendental nature. And it's another way that God, higher energy, whatever you want to call it, talks to us and reminds us what's real, what's not real. Have patience. You inside yourself have all the tools and all, everything that can make it possible for you to go above all the madness of the world. And when I learned these kind of things, it changed my life. I was no longer intimidated by being in business, by all the people that used to come by my gallery and all the nonsense they used to, people, especially my clients. I had a lot of students that used to come by. We did a lot of meditation classes in the gallery. But I would have people come by and they were just very tense and very worried about money. And I always looked at it like God talking to me, telling me what's real in this world, what's not real, where, telling me that you got to give to Caesar what is Caesar. Caesar requires mortgage payments, rent, food, money to buy food in the grocery stores, you understand, cars to drive around. That's what Caesar, so you give it to Caesar with an open heart, not with anger and resentment. But you at the same time are conscious of what's real. That all of this madness that goes on in the world is a way for God to teach us what is real and what is an illusion. If you look at it that way, you're no longer intimidated by it. You're no longer trying to figure it out, why it exists. Who knows why it exists? It's existed from the beginning of time. But you listen and you learn and allow God to teach you that way. And at the same time, you build an inner life that is strong enough to deal with it, that it doesn't drive you crazy. When I was a kid, when I was in my 20s, and it used to drive me crazy, all of that greed and money, money, money. And, you know, and when I finally learned these things, I said, okay, money, it's energy, it provides, I don't have to get caught up in greed. I just generate what I need in order to live.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very helpful.
Does anyone else have a question? I mean, I was a devoted follower when I was younger of the art world. I used to live in museums and I would go constantly. And as I got older and I opened galleries in New York, and I came to this incredible realization: art has become a commodity. And it really shook me up at first. You know, all of the beauty, all, you know, all of the remarkable works of art that have been created in the history of the world, they're like commodities. What can they sell for at Sotheby's and Christie's? It was staggering to me. So I finally realized, what does it matter? To you, the art doesn't have to be a commodity. And yet I used to deal in it on a very extensive and high level. At the same time, it was never a commodity to me. It just was a simple way that I earned a living, you know? But it really freaked me out when I was younger. It's, oh my God, what is this world? Art has become a commodity. And I also learned to keep my mouth shut. I'll tell you a funny story, because, you know, when I had my gallery, a friend of mine brought to me an extremely beautiful 17th century sculpture, ivory sculpture from Goa of a Christ figure, but the quality was absolutely Metropolitan Museum of Art quality. So a few days after I got it, a friend of mine walks in who was a dealer. He had a shop on Madison Avenue. And he, oh, I can sell that. I can sell it right away. Blah, blah, blah. I can sell it. You know, so I said, all right, take it, you know, sell it, you know, and just bring me the money. So he took the sculpture, and a month goes by, 2 months, 3 months go by. I don't even hear from him. So I say, okay, just go up to his gallery and talk to him. So I go up to his gallery, and I said, what's going on with that Goan Christ figure that I consigned to you back in prehistory? And he said, oh my God. And he makes a phone call, and he's told over the phone that the sculpture is sold. And we should get the money early next week. This was, I think, a Friday or Thursday. So I said, okay, great. You know, when you get it, give me a call. You know, you can bring it to me or I can come get it. And anyway, it turned out the sculpture was sold to Andy Warhol. And Andy Warhol had gone into the hospital and told this dealer, as soon as I get out of the hospital, I will pay you for the sculpture. Well, he died that weekend, owing me $12,000. And anyway, I started to think, Stuart, you never liked the work of Andy Warhol. You always thought, you know, and you always used to badmouth him. I mean, he's got his revenge, you know? I mean, it was amazing to me. I said, Stuart, from now on, just keep your mouth shut. Don't badmouth anybody, because it always will come back to you in some way. So, you know, I mean, I did get the sculpture back, thank God, but it was really something to have to learn a lesson that way. Keep your mouth shut. Don't judge anybody. It's not my business how other people live their lives. And sometimes it's not hard, easy. I mean, you got Roe, you know, versus Wade and all that stuff going on today, which is insane. You know, but I'm not there to judge. Somehow in the long run, it all works itself out. No situation is the end of the world. So you have to learn lessons. The universe is teaching us all the time in so many unbelievable ways. We have to learn to listen and learn lessons according to what the universe is teaching us. And that's the wonderment of life. It's the greatest teacher. It's a terrible teacher if you're in conflict with it and you know better. But if you just listen to it, it'll tell you exactly what to do and how to grow and how to become more of a human being. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? So I honestly just suggest that don't know better than life. It's been around a lot longer than any of us. It has everything to teach us about what it means to grow in this world today and what we have to do to connect with God and to have a spiritual life. Don't be a victim. Be a student of life. Listen to it, learn from it. It's the best teacher, it's the greatest guru. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? That's what I turned my business into when I was involved in all those galleries I used to have and stuff. Just another way to learn from life. It attracted so many different kinds of people. And every one of them had something good and then an element of bullshit. Every single one of them. And I had to learn. How can they help me grow? What can they teach me about myself? Does anyone have a question? Anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, then we'll have a class on Wednesday. And God bless you all. Thank you. I mean, you are my teacher. You all are my teacher. I just want you to know that. And I'm just infinitely grateful to be able to allow these sessions to teach me what I have to do to grow. So thank you and bless you. And I will see you all, I guess, on Wednesday.
Thanks, Stuart.
Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.